Welcome to Fun in the Kitchen with Cheryl. We're trying something a little bit different today. I grew some tomatillos in my garden this year. This is what they look like when you pull them off the vine. My husband said they look like Chinese lanterns. But let me show you what happens. You can hear the papery cover. The papery cover, you peel it off and it reveals a very tomato-like, tomatillo, tomato sounds the same, a very tomato-like fruit on the inside. And what I'm going to do with these tomatillos is I'm going to roast them and make a salsa with them. Today our wonderful project is going to be quesadillas. Pumpkin quesadillas with cheese and black beans. But first of all, I want to make the salsa, and that's what I'm starting with first. So I've got these tomatillos, I've peeled them, I've sliced the larger ones in half, and I've probably got 2 cups of tomatillos here. Then I also have some cherry tomatoes. These are left over from my garden. I'm still ripening them in the basement. You can use any kind of tomatoes from the supermarket. I do find once we get out of the garden season that the little tomatoes, like the cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, they have the best flavor. So that's just going to go right in my bowl. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to this. There we go. Not a lot, maybe a tablespoon if that. And some seasoning. This is to taste. I like to season each layer of the cooking. So each time you do something with your recipe, I check the seasoning or add a little bit more seasoning. So then I'm going to toss this just to make sure the oil and the seasoning is distributed, and then spread it on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Parchment paper really is my best friend in the kitchen. It really helps with cleanup, helps cook things evenly. Now this mixture is going to go into a 425-degree oven for about 20 minutes until I notice that the fruit is a little bit bubbly, it's kind of gotten a little bit cooked down, there might be some juices released, and I'll show you what happens next. So here we are, we have roasted the tomatillos and the cherry tomatoes. You can see they have some beautiful juice to them. Now my challenge is to get them from the cookie sheet into the food processor, because we're going to be using the food processor to make up our salsa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this. It's a little bit warm as yet. I wonder if I can do it with just the parchment. There we go. I want to get all those beautiful juices in as well. There we go. Beautiful. I'll just move this off to the side. And now the other ingredients for our salsa. So we've got our roasted tomatillos, roasted tomatoes. I'm adding a little bit of grated garlic. This is 1 clove of garlic. There we go. A little bit of lime zest. This is the zest from 1 lime. There we go. I'm going to squeeze some fresh lime juice in. Sometimes limes are really good at this time of year, and sometimes they're not so great at this time of year. So sometimes you might have to use more than 1 lime. You can get fancy tools to do this job, but I'm going old school, just squeezing the juice. Then I also have some cilantro. You really need fresh cilantro to do this recipe. You can't use dried, you can't use frozen. I've tried all these different methods of preserving that beautiful cilantro, but you really do need fresh cilantro. So I have about 1 cup of roughly chopped fresh cilantro. I'm going to again season. Every layer of the recipe we season. And I'm just guesstimating here, but you could do it to your taste. I would start with maybe a ½ teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, and then just kind of see how it goes from there. Tiny bit of olive oil. I don't need much at all. If that was a tablespoon, I'd be surprised. Now I'm going to put my lid on the food processor and pulse this very sparingly. I'm not going to give you a guesstimate up front, maybe 6 to 12 pulses. Let's see. I'm going to watch and make sure that we look like the mixture is coming together in a cohesive kind of salsa-like look, but I don't want it to be mushy. I don't want a puree. I want to have some chunks. So here we go. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, maybe 8. All right, maybe 9. So I'm going to make sure I check for seasoning before I take it out of here. I've got a beautiful golden colored salsa, and see, it's chunky. See that? It's chunky. It's not a puree at all. I'm gonna get this in the fridge and chill it so it's ready to serve with my quesadillas. Oh my goodness, is that good. It's got such a bright, citrusy pop from the tomatillos. I think a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, and I'm gonna get this in the fridge and we're gonna get ready to make our quesadillas now. Okay, so now we're ready to actually make the quesadillas. We've got our salsa all ready. I've got my cast iron pan. You can use a non-stick pan, that's fine. I'm old school. The cast iron just has been with me for decades now. So I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil to the pan, and we're going to saute our vegetables first. So again, about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm gonna add in some sliced onion. This is 1 onion, just a regular cooking onion. And I'm also adding in 1 sliced seeded sweet pepper. I've used a combination here of yellow and orange pepper. You can use whatever you prefer. These are vegetables that are going to go in the middle of our quesadilla. So again, we've been talking about this all the way through this recipe. We're going to salt or season each layer. I'm going to get a little seasoning on this. I'm going to cook this over medium heat for about 5 to 10 minutes. Until the vegetables start to brown a little bit and really make the kitchen smell amazing. So my vegetables have been sauteing for about 8 minutes, and you can see that they are beautifully browned and they're softened, and these are going to go in the filling of our quesadilla. So we've got our vegetables all out of the pan. I just wanted to show you my sous chef here. Natalie has come to help today. How are you, Nat? Are you helping cook? She's just waiting for something to drop on the floor. So I just wanted to show you what tortillas I'm using today. Have you ever looked at the ingredients of the wraps and tortillas that we tend to use? These I found at Walmart, and I really thought these were a better deal. They're corn and they're wheat. Unfortunately, they do have gluten in them, but they're made with stone ground corn and not a lot of chemicals. So this is a La Tortilla Factory brand. You can use whatever wraps you like, but I just thought I'd point out that there is a difference, and it's probably worth trying to find something that's a little bit more rustic, that's made more authentic. So here we're getting ready to assemble our tortillas. I'm going to put 2 tortillas down because my pan's big enough to handle 2 at a time. Depending on the size tortilla you use, the size of your pan, this is how many tortillas you can do. So we're going to do a scoop of cheese. I've used a combination of old cheddar and smoked Havarti. You could use Monterey Jack, you can use pepper jack, any cheese that melts well is fine. Mozzarella would be fine. I'm also going to put on a handful of black beans. This is really going to amp up the protein and amp up the fiber of my quesadillas. There we go. And a little bit of our vegetables that we sauteed. And then the pumpkin, then the ingredient that I talked about. This is going to really up again the nutrition content of our quesadillas and also give us some stickiness. So this pumpkin actually came from the pumpkin that I had on my front porch. You know how we have pumpkins on our front porch to decorate all the way through the fall? I was too frugal to throw out the pumpkin, so I cut it up, baked it like you would a butternut squash or something after scooping out the seeds. And I've used the pumpkin in a soup, and now I'm going to use it in my quesadillas. I made some brownies with the pumpkin. There's a recipe I should share with you. So then I'm going to take this top and put it on, creating my quesadilla. Transferring them into the pan is always fun. A little tiny bit of olive oil maybe. Again, I would be surprised if that was actually a teaspoon. And I'm going to use a spatula to help carefully transfer this to my warm pan. Get the other one done really quickly. I'm going to put a cover on my frying pan and let these cook over medium heat, same heat as I was using before, for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to kind of squish that down a little bit until they're crispy on one side, and then I'm going to flip them over. So it's time to flip our quesadillas. Say a little prayer for me. The filling has a tendency to spill out, so you have to kind of be cautious. I like to just kind of use both hands here. Look at that beautiful golden crust on that corn tortilla. So we're just about there. I know my mouth is watering. We're going to cook these on the other side for about another 3 minutes. So here is our finished quesadillas in the pan. Really kind of innovative way to do things, I guess, but very nutritious, and as you can see, pretty fast. So let's get these out of the frying pan as carefully as we can. And I like to use a pizza cutter to cut the quesadillas. I find it works really, really well. And as you take them out of the pan, if you let them set for like 60 seconds, they'll be easier to cut. I've already cut my little piece of quesadilla just to try, check the seasoning and such. Let's get a little bit of our tomatillo salsa on there. There we go. And we're all ready to try. So let's give it a little go here. Trying to find enough room on my counter. This is for supper tonight, and this is all we've got, so I hope it tastes good. So we've got black beans, our pumpkin, our tomatillo salsa. My cameraman is going to be one happy boy. I hope you have fun making this recipe, or any part of it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment. Let us know what other recipes you'd like to see. We'll talk soon.